This is McLaughlin from LearnToGrapple.com. Today we're going to be looking at a knee over guard pass. I begin in Vinny's guard. First thing I want to make sure is that I have a wide base and I'm flat to my heels. I want to control his upper body. I can have my hands on his ribs, on his chest, or on his arms. Whatever's my preference. I want to lock my elbows out. Next thing I have to do is make my base wide and wedge in the middle. I sit low, I slide up his body, and I open the guard up. I'm essentially creating a wedge and extending further than his legs can carry. I'm then going to come right up to my knee cut. Some people call this combat base. I want to keep inside, pin the leg. I'm going to then clear an avenue right here. I have to make sure that my elbow stays tight. If my elbow's out, I risk him pummeling underneath, and then that stops my pass. I have to make sure that I control the underhook. So I'm going to control the underhook. I'm going to shoot my knee as close to his hip as possible. I don't want to shoot out here where he can use his forearm to brace. I shoot close to his knee, close to his hip as possible with my knee. I step wide. I'm going to come in, lock my hands, pass the guard. Once I pass the guard, I know the most common defense he's going to do is to shrimp. So what I want to do is avoid that before it happens. After I pass, because I know he's going to start freaking out, I just block his hip. So now go ahead, shrimp. Okay? I'm good to control. I can maintain this, or I can go back to head and arm if I want. Some people prefer to maintain head and arm control. That's fine. You just have to make sure this knee is in close to the hip. One more time. Start in the guard. I get good posture. Lock my arms out. I put one knee out, one knee in the middle. Open the guard, combat base. Slice through. I want to make this almost like I'm taking a wrestler's penetration step. Immediately leading with my knee, a drive. Step outside, lock, pivot on the knee, lock the hip. There are some people who prefer to slide with the knee. Meaning, they come through here, and then they slide through to Keisugatami. This is not wrong. I don't prefer it. Reason being that in my experience, when I would sit through it, when I slid my hip out, he would slide his out. And yes, this would happen, and sometimes I get caught, like the guy would throw, I would get caught in omoplata. So what I prefer, once again, this is just preference, there's nothing wrong with sliding if you can pull it off, but for me, I come to my knee, I pivot on the point of my knee as I come around the head. Another thing is that I'm passing to Vinny's left side. Whenever I do this guard pass, I try to pass to the left. The reason is that this is the side opposite what most people pass. Think about this. If I told you you have to play your half guard, what side would you feel most comfortable on? Most people would immediately turn to this side, and that's because most people pass this way. So people are comfortable defending this side. They're not nearly as comfortable defending their weak side, their left, my right. So that's why I always like passing there. Some common mistakes people will make. The first thing is with opening the guard. They will narrow their base so much that the person can just kind of shake and throw them off to the side. Another common mistake is that after they open the guard, they'll leave a ton of space so the person can pummel an underhook. If Vinny gets the underhook and I pass, yeah, he can come behind, he can take my back, he can do any number of things. So remember, if you lose this underhook, I would prefer to pummel in, unless you're going to go into like a Darce choke or something like that, and you're really, really solid with that move. Pummel to the underhook if you just want the position so that you can pass. Another thing that people will mess up is they'll stand too wide here. allowing the guy to circle into a De La Riva guard, or even to just hold and do like a modified kind of ankle pick. Yeah, and take me down. So what my gold standard is calf to hamstring. Calf to hamstring, then I know I'm good. There's no space for him to circle in here. All right? And then just when you're training this, make sure you don't give your partner a shot in the groin. Have them turn to the side a little so that you can drive through safely. So one more time from the beginning. That's our knee over guard pass.